Anthony Albanese will try and draw a line in the sand and look to the future after damning review was released into the party's election loss. Let's go to our political reporter Trudy McIntosh at the National Press Club. And Anthony Albanese hoping that after this couple of days, the review, its release and the response, that he can then move on and show that the opposition's getting on with the job.
He certainly does, Kieran. This will be his first big address to the National Press Club since he became leader. We know the last Labor leader to appear here was Bill Shorten in the dying days of the election campaign. During that debate we saw with Scott Morrison, he would have been hopeful that he could get a win, but that hasn't been the case. I can tell you, Kieran, I have seen the Labor leader, Anthony Albanese, in the last few minutes. He was leaving the press club after getting the preparation done today, putting the finishing touches on that speech, using the teleprompter and getting ready for what will be a big set speech responding to this report that we saw yesterday from Jay Weatherill and Craig Emerson. I'll take you through a few of those key findings. One of them, the main, being that Bill Shorten was partly to blame his unpopularity at the least for Labor's election loss. There was also no persuasive election strategy, no simple policy narrative, and that the anti-coal, anti-Adani rhetoric really impacted the vote, particularly in places like Queensland. In terms of where to from here, the recommendations from this report, it's arguing that they should ditch the top end of town rhetoric, retain the core party values, have fewer, more cohesive and coherent policies, and broaden the base. There's been a big focus on aspiration in the wake of this report and the election, that Labor needs to focus more on aspirational voters and doing more to support them. We heard from Labor frontbencher Stephen Jones a short time ago. He spoke about the need to grow the economic pie.
We won't make the same mistakes in 3 years' time as we've made in May this year. We can be absolutely certain of that. The issues will change, the debate will move around, but we will take the learnings from this report and our failures in 2019 and ensure that we don't repeat them again at the next election. And one of the things that Anthony Albanese is going to set out in his press club speech today is to make it quite clear that to win the next election, we have to have a very strong economic story, which is about jobs, which is about growing the economic pie.
Last night we heard from the architect of many of Labor's economic policies going into the last election, that being Chris Bowen. He has defended the tax and spend agenda that they took to that election and argues that they do need to remain bold when it comes to taking policies to the next election.
To me, the message of the 2019 election for Labor is not that we need to go to the people with a smaller or less ambitious agenda. It's that we need to go to the people with a message that better connects with their concerns and their hopes for themselves and our country.
Australia's got irrepressive optimism, and I don't think they understand that. And that's what I thought they spoke down to. And whether it was in regional Australia or metropolitan suburbs and all these other places. But it seems like the report is 60 excuses as to why it wasn't their policies. It was their policies.
And Kieran, when Anthony Albanese makes this address in just under an hour and a half here at the Press Club, he is expected to draw a line in the sand, really wanting to keep the focus now on moving forward as opposed to more introspection.